Hi everyone, how are you doing? I'm Frugal and welcome to my channel, Economical, where I talk about frugal / economical living. So on today's topic, I'm going to talk about some of the things I've done for a possible job loss. So I've been currently sent a notice saying that I am temporary on layoff status, and I heard it actually kind of coming down the line. I've kind of kept, an eye on the news of some of the things that were happening in the same industry as I am, and I knew it was coming. So I'm going to give you some tips / suggestions of some of the things that I did to prepare for a layoff. Now, of course, we're never actually fully prepared, and it's not something nice that we want to experience, but it's definitely something that we need to talk about. Okay, so first things first, I kept an eye on the economy, trying to see how things are going, and of course, I'm in the hospitality and tourism industry, and it's not going great. So I kind of figured that it may affect me, and of course it did. And one of the things that I did, of course, was I listened to what was happening on the news. I compared it to I'm in the airline industry, other airlines, some of them that have gone bankrupt, some of them who have had massive layoffs, and I figured that it may affect me, and of course it did. So I do have or had insurance, medical insurance, where I was able to, of course, get medications, dental, vision care, all that stuff. So I knew that I would not have any more benefits, and therefore that's one of the things I did. I went out, I made sure that I got my eyes checked, I got glasses for my kids, I make sure that we got our teeth clean, make sure that our all oral stuff was done. We did physiotherapy, and of course we got all the medication that we needed. So I called the doctor, and I got one of my children needs inhalers, so I made sure that I got a few of those, and of course I made sure that I handed in my claims right away. Now, on some of the things that I was able to get, some of them were paid automatically, some of them I had to hand in a claim. So make sure that if you are paying with cash first and then sending in your receipts, make sure that you claim them as soon as possible. For tip number 2, if you are somebody who let's say travels and accumulates expenses, whether it's food and beverage expenses, hotel expenses, whether you buy stuff for the company and put it on your credit card, or you just have expenses in general, make sure that you are submitting them right away. One of the things that you don't want to do is be stuck with payments that you have to make, and of course you're on layoff. You may not be able to get those, and because it's your responsibility, you won't be able to get paid. So any expenses that you have, whether it's medical expenses, whether it's travel expenses, or any expenses that you have to go through, make sure you hand them in right away. For tip or suggestion number 3, if you are in the process of buying a home or need to buy a home, if you need to renew a mortgage or refinance a mortgage in 2 or 3 months from now, or if you're in just need of a loan for whatever reason, right now is the time to probably go out and go into a bank institution or any financial institution and ask for the lowest interest rate. Now, when you go right away, most of the time they're not going to give you the lowest interest rate, but you make sure that you shop around. So it's really important that you go to at least 4, 5, or 6 institutions, compare what type of interest rate they're going to give you, whether it's a variable or fixed, and on some of them you can actually lock down. When you lock down, I know the institution expects you to lock down with them, but don't lock down right away. Don't sign any papers. Just let them know that you're shopping around, and sometimes when they do a lockdown, they guarantee an interest rate for a certain amount of days. Sometimes it's 30, sometimes it's 60, sometimes it's 90, sometimes 120 days, where they guarantee you to give you that interest rate. Now remember that interest rates change all the time, so please make sure that you keep an eye on the market, and that you're definitely doing your research. So for tip number 4, suggestion number 4, just remember that if you're planning to get a loan or any type of mortgage, don't forget to ask the banks what kind of papers they require. They're going to need, of course, a driver's license. They're going to need your paper stubs from your last payments that your company gave to you. They're going to ask you for a letter of employment, a letter of salary. Make sure that you are going to your HR. Sometimes you have them online. You can print out these forms, or you can just ask your HR department to give you these forms. I know one big one for sure is a letter of employment, which tells will tell the institution where you work, the business, how long you've worked there, and if you're employed. And also letter of salary will tell them how much you make, whether it's an hourly wage or an annual wage, and your job title. So some of this information is really important. Make sure that when you're going to get a loan or a mortgage to the banks or any lending institution, that you have these available, okay? There's nothing like not being able to provide this or being unemployed and you don't have this information. It could really make it really difficult to get a mortgage or a loan. And of course, you may have to find other means where you will pay higher interest rates, okay? So that's for tip number 4, or suggestion 4. So for tip or suggestion number 5, just remember that being organized is a key to your financial success. So what do I mean by that? Well, a lot of the times we kind of, or if you're like me, we kind of, have our bills all over the place or in a box. All our receipts are in a box. We kind of throw everything, or sometimes we separate them and put them in one pile and the next pile. And then when it comes to, wanting to find something to claim, sometimes we don't find it and we lose out. So one of the things that I like to do is I like to put everything into folders, okay? So it's a medical claim, I put them in a folder. Whether it's a work expense, I put them in another folder. Anything that I have, for example, all my bills, so all my utilities, all my bank information, I like to put them in folders so that if I need access to it, I know how much, I kind of owe or have to pay, so they're all in a folder. It's also great to use online banking to do some of this stuff and to get all your stuff, because then you don't have to, it avoids all this paperwork. But again, just make sure that you know where your receipts and all your paperwork is. One of the things that I do when I go shopping is I bring my receipts and I kind of throw them in my purse after I check them, and sometimes I lose them. So what I do now is I bring them home, I take them out of my purse, and I automatically put them in a folder like this. Everything goes from January to December, which is really good. I just take the receipt, I throw it in there, and I know exactly where to find it. It doesn't just work for receipts, it could be any paper for any month. Just make sure that, it's nice to have something like this. You can go to dollar store, spend like $1, maybe $2, and it's so worth it. It keeps you organized. And again, it's so important to make sure that you know where your bills are, your receipts, and all the things that you need to claim. So that is tip number 5. So for tip or suggestion number 6, just remember that it's really, really important for everybody to know how much they're spending every month. So it's a bit of a question that I'm going to ask. The question is, if you were to lose your job tomorrow, or goodness forbid you become ill, would you be able to cover all your home expenses? Things like your car insurance, your house insurance, your rent. Would you be able to buy food? Would you be able to pay all your utilities? And not just home expenses, but just in general, like car payments. Maybe you have loans. Would you be able to pay for everything? And a lot of people, they don't really ask themselves this question. And sometimes, a lot of couples, they split the bill. Some people pay the mortgage and utilities, and some people pay all the food expenses. Now, if one of you were to lose your job or become ill, would you both have enough to cover for each other? It's something that a lot of people don't think about, because we kind of rely on each other and we forget that, we work as a team, right? But again, you should have about 3 months of income to cover your expenses. And it's very, very, very important that you sit down with your partner and yourself, and you go through everything, all your car payments, anything that you need to pay for, and figure out whether or not you will have enough money to cover this if you become, again, unemployed, or if you become ill. So tip number 7, suggestion number 7 goes along with suggestion number 6. If you realize that you don't have enough money to cover your expenses, whether it's by yourself or with your partner, then maybe you should start thinking of becoming frugonomical, okay? So technically what it means is have a purpose to save money. Becoming frugal or economical pretty much just means that you're just doing things that are going to save you money. So for example, I like to call myself frugal because I like to pretty much make sure that I eat leftovers. I make sure that I use a lot of the stuff that's in my fridge so I don't throw stuff out and waste it. I've also, take hand-me-downs from my family and friends, and I use the clothing for my kids so I don't have to spend money on clothing. So that's how I become frugal. I don't buy expensive things or things that I don't need. I don't live lavishly. So technically that, of course, saves me a lot of money. When I say economical, it means that, for example, if I need a product or a service, I ask myself things like, is it a want or is it a need? Because if it's a want, it's something that I don't need. But if I need something, of course, I'm going to spend time researching it. Let's say I want to buy a fridge or a stove. I'm going to research about it. I'm going to make sure that I buy it on sale, that it has a good warranty, that it's high efficiency so that I save money on utilities and things like that. So for, again, tip number 7, suggestion number 7 is making sure that I have a purpose to save money, and that, of course, is becoming frugonomical. So becoming frugal / economical, where I'm going to save money for the future. And it could be anything, whether it's, saving money for going on vacation, whether it's saving money for a situation like this, it's an emergency, and I need to save money in case I become unemployed or somebody becomes sick. It's having a purpose to save money. So I hope this helped you out. Thank you so much for listening, and please make sure that you subscribe and that you press like. And on my next video, I'm going to give you some tips on some of the things I've done to save money on my car insurance, my home insurance, on my credit cards, as well as my utilities and my food expense. That's a very big one. So again, I hope you like this video. Subscribe, like, stay safe, stay positive, and I will see you next time. Have an awesome day.